Vermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it on a Wednesday here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox played earlier today. You heard that here on DEV. Sox falling to 75 and 78, taking it on the chin. 15-5, they lost today to the Texas Rangers. We'll have some information on the Red Sox. We'll talk a little bit about that game here at the start of the show. You can get in, as always, 802-585-3026. But, Danny, we got a special treat today because former Red Sox reliever and multi-time World Series champion Craig Breslow is going to stop by the show. He'll do that about 6:15. Not only is Craig Breslow a former Red Sox pitcher and a world champion, he also now is the assistant general manager of the Chicago Cubs, and he's coming to Vermont in about 2.5 weeks from now. I will tell you why, and we will talk to Craig Breslow at about 6:15. We got stuff on the Patriots to get to as well. More people telling you things that I've already told you, so we'll play another game of Patriots and Brady. I told you so here on DEV. Danny's here. I'm here. You're here. Lego.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Danny, let me just give you a little history lesson. There was a time in radio and in sports where a 15-5 baseball game would take like 4 hours, and you would just be sitting here all day wondering if you'd ever get on the air, and then you'd be wondering, okay, how many minutes will I have on the air, right? I've had 14-minute shows, 18-minute shows, 9-minute shows, and all of this when you get some lopsided blowout where the game drags on. Not anymore, buddy. You missed out on those days. Welcome to pitch clock era baseball, where 15-5 games still only take 2 hours and 50 minutes. I thought for sure we were not going to get on until after 5:30 today, but pitch clock era baseball, we're on at 5:08, and you and I actually have to come up with 20 minutes of news to get through the afternoon news service. I thought there was no way in hell were we getting on for any of the afternoon news service today, especially after about the fourth inning. But the pitch clock, this thing is a magician out here, because how this game ended in under 3 hours, I still couldn't believe it, Danny.
Now, let's be clear. We were very prepared.
We were prepared, but I was thinking, you know what? I'll just be straight with you. We were prepared, and I'm happy that the people who love the news and come to us for news, which is a lot of you, I'm not naive. I'm happy that you got the news. So we got a chance to give you a lot of the important stuff that you know. All the top news stories of the day on our list, we got to. We got to Roger Hill's forecast. That's what a lot of you come for. That's what a lot of you crave. I don't love days where we only have the news for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 18 minutes because we're not giving you all the news. And it's not our fault. I want to give you all of it, right? I felt bad we couldn't have Calvin today. I felt bad we couldn't have Roger twice. I felt bad that Courtney from 7 Days, who was nice enough to call in on the midday, that you didn't hear that in the afternoon. So I'm like, look, if we're going to miss out on a lot of this good stuff, we might as well just get right to the Brady Farkas Show. We were prepared. Danny and I executed our game plan perfectly, right? We called the plays. We executed it perfectly. We went down. We scored the touchdown. We were in the red zone. Boom. And there you go. So we were ready for it. But back in the day, that never would have happened. Like last year, that never would have happened. Last year, we would have been waiting until 6:10 to get on, and that would have been a 3.5-hour game with a 30-minute post-game show, and you wouldn't have heard us at all in the news. You would have barely heard us on this show. New era here in Major League Baseball and radio shows that follow them. This was an ugly one for the Red Sox. And we're at the point, we've been at this point for a week or so, where the game results don't matter. So I haven't spent a lot of time talking about the nitty-gritty of the games, but this one was ugly. I mean, my goodness, from a couple of different standpoints. When the Red Sox lost this game 15-5, way back when, they were up 4-0. The Red Sox were up 4-0 in this game. We get a Duvall home run in the first inning. We got a home run from Dahlbeck in the second inning. From a pure baseball standpoint, when you're up 4-0 after 1.5 innings, you got to win that game, right? Like, it's virtually unacceptable to lose that game. I don't care how good the opponent is, how good the lineup is, where you're playing. If you go up 4-0, you got to find a way to win this game. Not only could the Red Sox not win it, they got absolutely killed. So it's a blowout loss in your score sheet. So if you look at this game blindly, you think, oh, wow, the Red Sox got killed. No, if you actually watched it like Danny and I did, they got killed when they were up 4-0. That's like a football team being up 14-0 and then losing 49-17. You're like, what? This one was ugly. And I want to disagree with something that Lou Merlone said on the broadcast, right? I love Lou. You know this. I've said this a million times. Lou is one of my favorite Red Sox people. He's one of my favorite guests that we have on this show. I love talking baseball with him. He came on this show a couple of months ago. He will come on again. I love Lou. I thought what he said today was patently wrong. Okay. In the second inning, Brian Bayo gives up 6 runs. And it all starts because I think it was Josh Young hits a line drive, and this ball's a shot. It was a line drive behind the second base bag that Luis Arias drops. Now, it was ruled an error. Then they gave it a hit. To me, it was an error. It's a ball that's got to be, the ball has got to be caught. The play's got to be made. So the inning starts with a line drive. You're up 4-0. It should be an out. It turns into the ball is dropped by Arias right behind the bag, and then the gates of hell open, and the Rangers score 6 runs. And Lou says, you know, it was the leadoff guy of an inning. I can't blame that play on what happened for the inning. You know, Bayo's got to do his job. He's got to pitch around it. Look, to me, that's an infielder who's sticking up for an infielder. I'm about to be a pitcher who's sticking up for a pitcher. That play absolutely had a huge impact. Is it everything that accounts for 15 runs or 6 runs in an inning? No, it's not. There is a degree of truth to what Lou said about a pitcher who's got to be able to put an air behind him, a pitcher who's got to be able to overcome obstacles. That's all true. As Bayo matures, learns, gets older, he will find ways to let that go and massage a bad situation. So I'm with Lou on that. That said, when you start giving one of the best lineups in baseball 4 outs and 5 outs and 6 outs in an inning, this is what happens. So when Lou says, oh, the Arias bobble or boot, that's not what caused this bad inning, it absolutely contributed to it. And it contributed to it in a huge way. The Rangers, I know they've been scuffling. They have one of the most powerful lineups in baseball, maybe the most powerful lineup in baseball, this side of the Atlanta Braves. And when you give them a free leadoff man on, you are asking for trouble. And trouble is what you got. Okay, trouble is what you got. 6 runs is a lot, but if that inning starts out with a line drive out and there's no one on and there's 1 out, I'm not saying the Rangers go to sleep, but you certainly are giving yourself an opportunity to get through that inning unscathed. Instead, they get 6. And this is what we've seen from the Red Sox too many times this year. Defensive lapses that snowball on themselves. Either defensive lapses become other defensive lapses, or defensive lapses become pitching lapses, where our pitcher goes in the tank and Bayo subsequently walked the next guy, I think Adolis Garcia, on 4 straight pitches. Like, defensive miscues become pitching lapses, become just overall team problems. You can't have that. When you're up 4-0, you should not lose. When you're up 4-0 early, you should not lose. When you have a chance to make, you know, it's not a routine play to Luis Arias, but when you have a chance to make a play that should be made and to continue a shutdown inning, and you don't do it, and you give one of the best lineups in baseball more chances, you're asking for trouble. And trouble's what you got. And Lou says, it's not the infielder's fault. The infielder is a huge part of this. Arias making a mistake is a huge part of this. And on a lesser note, I wonder about Arias' future with the team. Not because of this play, but I'm starting to worry. I'm starting to wonder about everybody's future on the team that was a Chaim Bloom and is kind of a borderline guy. Right? They're going to bring in somebody who is different than Chaim Bloom, who has a different way of thinking than Chaim Bloom, and I think will be allowed and told to be much more aggressive than Chaim Bloom. As a result, some of these fringy guys that Bloom brought in and were value guys, I do wonder if they're going to be here. Right? I wonder about Arias if he's going to be here. I look at a guy like Reese McGuire. I look at, some of the pitching guys that were here, Cutter Crawford. I think Cutter Crawford's established himself as a little more than a fringy guy, but, you wonder about him. I look at Ref Snyder. Do they want to keep him or do they want to try to spin him off and get something different? I don't know. But these guys who are Bloom guys, I do wonder about their longevity for the organization. And Verdugo's in there too, given that he's going to be going into a contract year. So the Red Sox lost. Again, the game result doesn't matter, but they're 75 and 78. I want to see the Red Sox finish at 500 or better. I don't believe that it represents a huge improvement from last season, right? Like we talked about that, Danny, a couple weeks ago. Like if the Red Sox are a little bit better than last year, would you consider it to be an improvement for this team? And I said no, and I still believe that way. But there's something for peace of mind about not finishing under 500. And that I would like the Red Sox to not finish under 500. If they come through this year and finish 82 and 80, that would require going 7-2 down the stretch. I mean, that would be tough. If they go 7-2 down the stretch and finish 82 and 80, I will at least have peace of mind. If they, what looks like packed it in today, if they continue to pack it in and finish out the year at 77 and 85, which is even worse than last year when they were 78 and 84, that you're not going to feel real good about that. And I'm not going to feel real good about it either. 802-585-3026. That's on the text line. Danny, I was listening to Dan Patrick today, and this is something that should make Red Sox fans feel good. Okay. I was listening to Dan Patrick, and Jeff Passan of ESPN was on, and he was asked about Shohei Ohtani and the teams that might be interested in him. And obviously every team in the league should have a degree of interest in Ohtani. But Passan mentioned a bunch of teams. It wasn't like, we got one favorite, two favorites. He mentioned a bunch of teams. The second team that he mentioned was the Boston Red Sox. And that should make you feel good. I don't know that the Red Sox are going to get Ohtani, but I do believe that with a regime change now, and Chaim Bloom not there, I do believe the Red Sox are going to be more in on Ohtani than they would have been under Bloom. Given what we've heard about Bloom in the last couple of days, that he really is a penny pincher, right? He felt guilty after giving a big money deal to Trevor Story. He felt guilty after giving a big money deal to Masataka Yoshida. He was not going to give $500 or $600 million to Ohtani. He might present the front that they were interested, but he probably secretly would have been happy that they didn't get him because he didn't want that on his conscience per se. But whoever comes in here next, I believe, is going to be in on Ohtani. So much so that Passan mentions the Red Sox right off the top of the conversation. He goes Dodgers 1, Red Sox 2, and then other teams, Giants, Rangers, Mariners, other West Coast teams, other teams that have money, maybe the Angels, etc. again. But he mentioned the Red Sox. And 3 months ago, I don't know the Red Sox would have been mentioned. I don't know that Ohtani wants to come to the East Coast. I don't know that Ohtani wants to play in the American League East. I don't know that Ohtani likes the city of Boston. I don't know that he likes Fenway. I don't know that he likes Red Sox fans, whatever. But I do believe that money will not be the thing that keeps the Red Sox out of this. And money very well may have been the thing that kept the Red Sox out of it under Bloom. So I think if you're a Red Sox fan today, you should be happy hearing that. Because Buster's told us how many times that he doesn't think the Red Sox would spend for Ohtani or anyone else. Well, Passan's telling you right off the top, I think they're going to be in. We spoke to Tyler Milliken of 98.5 The Sports Hub the other day. We spoke to him on Monday, and he's a Red Sox expert. And he was talking about what the Sox need and kind of their next guy at the helm.
Even if you disagree with how he goes about things, the truth is they just didn't trust him to make the major moves. I hope with their hire, they double down on that. If you're going to fire a guy for that reason, you better go get someone with experience that kind of speaks to that. And that doesn't even include the relationship with Bloom and Corey either, which I do think is a slice of the pie.
the part that matters there, what Milliken said, is if you're going to get rid of a guy who wasn't decisive enough, you better bring in somebody who is willing and able to be decisive, who you're going to let be decisive. I absolutely think the Red Sox are going to do that. Okay, the Red Sox are in what I told you I think is a vicious cycle, and I don't think it's a healthy cycle. They bring in a guy and tell him to bring up the farm system. They treat him like the punching bag. The team isn't very good. Then they can him, and then they go get the guy who can take you over the hump like Dave Dombrowski did. I think the Red Sox are going to make a very similar hire here, a very similar arc. Charrington in the past played the part of Chaim Bloom. Dombrowski plays the guy who takes it over the top. Bloom here plays himself, and they're going to go out and get somebody else who can take it in the way Dombrowski did. I absolutely think you're going to see the Red Sox look like the Red Sox again that you're accustomed to this offseason. And I think a lot of it will be good. I don't want to see the Red Sox be stupid. I don't care if they're stupid with money. It's not my money. The luxury tax doesn't bother me. If they're willing to pay it, then so be it. I don't want to see them stupidly trade away prospects. I don't want to see them stupidly trade away from their prospect growth and their prospect capital and the things that Bloom has done well. So I don't want to see them do that. But if they can, I think they'll make this hire for someone who is willing and able to pull the trigger. And if it only is money, I think you're going to see the Red Sox look like the Red Sox, and I think they are going to be in on Ohtani. We can ask Buster about this more tomorrow. I think they're going to be a player for Ohtani now. Do they get him? I don't know, but they're going to be a player. Brady Farkas show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Bill O'Brien, Patriots offensive coordinator, he spoke on the benching of DeMario Douglas. What did he have to say, and was he sending a bit of a message to Bill Belichick? We'll talk about it. That's next on DEV. The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Nourish and protect your pets with the best food and flea and tick protection at your family-owned Guy's Farm and Yard stores. Guy's stocks the best pet foods, including Signature, Origin, and Fromm. Find the best choices of flea and tick protection at Guy's, too. See all the choices of treats, toys, and leashes that'll make a happy pet even happier. They're your darn tough sock headquarters, too. Guy's Farm and Yard, with stores in Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Taft Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road in St. Albans at guysfarmandYard.com.
You may think of WIC as food for pregnant Vermonters and toddlers, but it's a whole lot more than that. Kids can now stay on WIC until they're 5. And in addition to food benefits, nutrition education, counseling, and programs for pregnant Vermonters, parents, and caregivers are also available. And WIC now offers brand-name foods and organic options and access to Vermont state parks and museums, affordable internet and utilities programs, and more. See if your family qualifies for WIC. Go to healthvermont.gov/WIC.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
Always on time signs and design. Original and customized signs and designs that catch your eye and promote your business. And for all applications, commercial signs, safety and highway signs, banners, vehicle wraps, window, wall, and floor graphics, and much more. They do it all. Design, construction, and commercial installation. You'll be impressed by their customized designs and quick service, and you'll love their competitive prices. Always on time signs and design in Berlin. AlwaysOnTimeSigns.com.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Hey, it's Charlie Papillo. Coming up on the next Travels with Charlie, we'll talk with Greg Tatro from Jenna's Promise about their upcoming auction fundraiser to benefit their recovery centers. And trying to give up tobacco? Dana Bourne from the Vermont Department of Health's 802 Quits program has the details to help get you started. Travels with Charlie is brought to you by Casella Waste Systems, Jolly Convenience Stores, Milne Travel, and Myers Wood-Fired Bagels. I'll see you in my travels Monday at 1, right here on WDEV.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on DEV. Red Sox lose today 15-5, so we're up until 7 o'clock. And then we've got Jazz with George Thomas coming up at that time. Former Sox pitcher and World Series champion Craig Breslow is going to be with us at about 6:15 today. We've got a lot of fun things to talk about with Craig. I am going to get to the Patriots in a second, but I want to answer this text from Steve over in Faceton, who says it's weird that Bloom would feel badly about spending. It's not his money. If ownership says to do it, why should he feel bad? Steve, we talked about this yesterday, and it's not, we're not calling you out for not hearing it yesterday, but let me just recap it real quick. Chaim Bloom was evidently a guy who was always in search of a perfect deal. And the deal had to expressly benefit him. And if it didn't expressly benefit him, then he was a guy who either didn't want to make it or regretted it or felt bad about it. And that, to me, was one of the most damning things I have heard about Chaim Bloom. Right? I've defended a lot of what Chaim Bloom does. Even if I don't love every individual move, I can defend the overall process. That's something even I can't really defend, right? The unwillingness to take even a little bit of risk, the unwillingness to make a deal that involved a give and a take. He only wanted deals that involved him expressly winning. And this is not my analogy. It came from John Tomasi of NBC Sports Boston, who said, if Chaim Bloom was in a bidding war on a house, he's the guy who wanted to win the bidding war by $1. He didn't want to win it by $2,000 or $4,000 or $6,000, right? Some people look at it like, okay, the house was up for sale for $400 and the bidding war ended up, we got it at $420. And some people look at it like, hey, we got the house no matter what. That's great. So Chaim Bloom apparently looked at it like, well, what was the other guy's bid? Oh, the other guy's bid was $410. Damn, I wish I had $411. And that's how Bloom was. So evidently, even though it's not his money, he did feel guilty about spending it because he was always looking for a value. And whether that's just how he believes teams should be built baseball-wise or because that's what, the Red Sox instructed him to do was to win while stretching $1, I don't know. But that is evidently how he felt. Other texter says, yes, the Red Sox need to spend this offseason. I do think they'll spend. It's just a question of what there is to spend on. I don't have the list in front of me. The free agent crop beyond Ohtani is not hugely impressive, right? The last couple of years we have seen. Now I'm not going to be able to get to the Patriots right away. I'm going to have to save this now for the 6 o'clock hour. But so let's just go on this real quick. The free agents in Major League Baseball this offseason are not the crop that we've had the last couple of years, right? Last couple of years, we've had the huge shortstop crops, right? Javi Baez and Story and Bogarts and Semien and all these guys were available. That doesn't really exist this year. You've got Ohtani. You've got Marcus Stroman, who's 32 and a half years old, who's got a player option with the Cubs, very well is likely to exercise that, so he might not be available. Javi Baez, who stinks. He's not opting out of his deal. You wouldn't want him. Joey Votto's 40. He's probably going to be a free agent. Could see the Red Sox maybe going after him if he wants to keep playing. But, probably not, actually. You've already got Turner, potentially. You've already got Yoshida. You need less DH type, so Votto's probably not a guy. Hyun-Jin Ryu's 36. I mean, he's probably not a guy that you really are going to want to go after. Kershaw's not going to leave the Dodgers. I'm thinking of other guys, Martin Perez again, Jock Peterson, Yasmani Grandal, Charlie Blackmon, Adam Wainwright. There are not a lot of guys out there that you would really, really love. Okay. Josh Hader's out there on the closer market. Teoscar Hernandez is out there as a slugging outfielder, is going to be 31 years old. So there are some guys, but the big spending is going to come with Ohtani, and I think his name is Yamamoto, who's another Japanese pitcher who's supposed to be an absolute stud. So there are people out there, but it's not like you can see the Red Sox in on 15 top-of-the-line free agents. There's going to have to be one or two big splashes and a bunch of guys who are kind of under the radar or a little bit young or a little bit old or a little bit experienced or whatever. So there's guys to get. I do think the Red Sox will be aggressive. I'll be most interested to see what they do on the trade market, right? Like, that's what I'll be most interested to see. What will they do on the trade market? Because they've built what I think is a pretty good treasure chest of farm system guys. Are they willing finally to deal from that? Do they want to deal from that? Will ownership say, hey, you have permission to deal from that in the way that Dave Dombrowski did? Because if you want to go get major league players and you can't go buy them all, then, well, Sonny Gray's available too, someone says. Yes, he is. Okay, if you can't go buy all these major league players, well, what about trading for them? Okay, you could trade Verdugo, I think, for a pitcher straight up 1-for-1. That could happen. You want to trade Casas? I could bring you something. Do you want to trade Rafaela? Do you want to trade Abreu? Do you want to trade Durant? Are you willing to do that? Do you want to trade Bayo? That, I would say, is probably a non-starter because of how thin your pitching is. Do you want to trade Meyer? Do you want to trade York in this farm system? Blaze Jordan, there are guys down there. There are guys down there that other teams would want. Because if you're willing to do that, then you've really got a lot of options. If you're not willing to do that, then you're looking at just spending money on a crop of some good but not great free agents, with the exception of Ohtani and the exception of Yamamoto. I mean, look, Teoscar Hernandez has been a guy who's played on my Mariners all year. I like him, think he'd get a good deal. Don't know that the Red Sox need him. And those are the kind of guys that are out there right now. Texter says, sorry, the Red Sox couldn't help your Mariners today in the playoff race. Yeah, they didn't help my Mariners at all today. The Mariners need the Red Sox to beat the Rangers. Rangers end up killing the Red Sox 15-5. That didn't help me. It didn't help you. It didn't help to see the Red Sox get pummeled. I feel bad to see Bayo go out like this, right? They made a big deal of it on the broadcast. You heard it here on DEV about leaving him in, wearing it on the chin. Now he's got an ERA over 4, and it's going to look like a more rough year than it was. I hope Bayo, he's probably got one more start in him. I hope that he finishes on a good note because he really has had a generally impressive year. And I feel bad if this is one of the last memories that he has of this season, giving up 8 earned runs in 3 innings against the Texas Rangers on a road. The stat that they gave, Danny, was one of the more incredible stats that I've seen. And I don't want to get it wrong, but like in 11 day games, Bayo's ERA is like 7, and in 18 night games, his ERA is like 3 or something. I mean, again, I don't want to get it totally wrong. That's not exactly it. But Bayo was horrific in the daytime and excellent at night. I can't explain that. I don't have an answer for that other than your sleep schedule gets thrown off or your routine schedule gets thrown off and you just can't adjust. But that is wild to see that. Like, that is wild to hear that. I mean, you see some guys that are better against certain teams, but better at certain times. I mean, I've never heard something like that. I've never heard something like that. Red Sox are going to be off tomorrow. It's probably a much needed off day for the Red Sox at this point after what have been a couple of tough series here. So getting swept by Toronto, now losing 2 of 3. Sox will be back in action coming up on Friday. And it's hard to believe. I mean, we're in the home stretch here. We are at 9 games to play for the Red Sox this season. 9 games to play. Soon we're going to be at UVM hoops season and all in on Patriots. The Red Sox are going to take on the White Sox coming up on Friday night at 7:10, and we'll have the coverage for you at 6:10. It means we've got 4 full shows this week, which is a good thing. Friday being the only day that we don't have a full show. Tomorrow we'll get a chance to really go through our NFL Week 3 preview and do kind of our 6-pack of NFL questions. Talk to Buster tomorrow. So a lot of stuff going on here, so I'm okay with the Red Sox, giving us this gift of 4 full shows. But I hate the fact that we are inside 10 games to play. On one hand, the season goes by incredibly slow, and on the other Panda goes by incredibly fast. I felt like just yesterday we were at Fort Myers and we're talking about spring training, and I'm watching the very first game of spring training where the Red Sox played Northeastern, and I'm commenting on Yoshida hitting fourth in the order instead of leadoff or whatever. And then it's talking about the World Baseball Classic. Just crazy how quick it all goes. Now we're going to get to the Patriots. Bill O'Brien talking about Pop Douglas and his benching next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Berry, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. A border town in Texas had declared a state of emergency as migrant crossings top 8,000 a day. CBS's Manuel Bajorquez is in El Paso.
We are inside a migrant support center run by the county of El Paso, and they're getting about 600 people on average coming through here every day, a reflection of the spike in numbers at the border. The majority of the people here, I'm being told, are from Venezuela, and what they do here is they're released from federal custody with an asylum appointment, and then they're trying to figure out how to get potentially to a relative or to their next destination on a bus or on an airplane.
More than 110,000 asylum seekers have been sent to sanctuary cities across the country since last spring. Auto worker strikes are still going strong outside plants in Ohio, Missouri, and Michigan.
I just know as Ford employees, we work really hard and we just trying to get what we deserve.
We just want a fair deal. It's something that will take care of our families, not just today, but in the future. This used to be the choice job. It used to be the job that you had, that you wanted to have, one of the big three. You were set for life, and now you can't live.
Stellantis announced today it's cutting hundreds of workers in 2 states during strikes. GM idled a plant in Kansas. No change today on the federal interest rate. Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
We've covered a lot of ground, and the full effects of our tightening have yet to be felt.
It follows nearly a dozen increases. CBS's Jason Brooks.
The Fed is content to leave the federal funds rate at a range of 5.25% to 5.5% for the next 2 months, as it takes time to assess the impact of high rates on inflation and the economy. Worries over high inflation persist at the central bank, and it's still forecasting the possibility of one more quarter-point rate hike before the end of the year.
You can request more test kits ahead of an expected COVID surge this fall. Reporter Alexander Tin.
The Biden administration says it is planning to reopen covidtest.gov for another round of 4 free rapid tests for each household. Americans will be able to request the test starting Monday, September 25.
It has been 12 years now since the military repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, but there's a new effort now to correct wrongful discharges. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
Many veterans say they have been wrongly denied benefits over the years. Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks.
We are announcing that DoD will, for the first time, begin proactively reviewing the military records of veterans discharged because of their sexual orientation.
And if your kid plays Fortnite, you could get a refund. Epic Games has to pay $37 million in penalties for violating children's privacy. This is CBS News.
When you think of hiring, think of Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring system helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hi, I'm Bob Lake, CEO of Green Mountain Credit Union. We're proudly member-owned, which means what you deposit, we invest in your neighbors, friends, family, and small businesses that are essential to our community. And all interest and deposits made go right back to our members, continuing our philosophy of people helping people. Green Mountain Credit Union's old school lending with 21st century technology. I invite you to stop by one of our locations in South Burlington, Rutland, or Berlin, or find us at greenmountaincu.com.
Having pain like that and not knowing how you caused it and for how long it's lasting, it's debilitating.
QC Kinetics patient Diane Richardson hated not being able to live her life to the fullest due to joint pain. But then she called QC Kinetics, where regenerative treatments helped her pain go away.
The result was phenomenal.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using natural biologics to restore and repair damaged joint tissue.
This was a great alternative for me as opposed to going in and possibly having surgery or something else. There was no downtime, and that's that's what I love. My life is too busy for me to be sidelined.
If you're tired of constant pain from arthritis or injury, don't think the old treatments are the only treatments. Discover regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics.
Just to feel good and know that I'm out of pain is the best thing ever. I'm able to do everything that I want to do.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
The world is a constantly changing place, and being informed has never been more important. This is Steve Kathan. WDEV, Vermont's news station, and CBS provide you with up-to-the-minute news and information. Whether it's top and bottom of the hour news, breaking news, or special events, if Vermonters need to know, you can trust that WDEV and CBS will inform you. WDEV, keeping an eye on Vermont, while CBS keeps an eye on the world.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Craig Breslow, former Red Sox pitcher and a two-time, it's an interesting story, though, a two-time World Series champion is going to be with us here in about 10 minutes. I do want to get to this Patriots story. Bill O'Brien, Patriots offensive coordinator, spoke yesterday about DeMario Pop Douglas, about his benching, about his fumble. Danny, I want you to play this, and I'm curious if people think, and if you think, Danny, I want your opinion too, if you think Bill O'Brien is sending a message to Bill Belichick. Danny, roll the tape.
I have a lot of confidence in Pop Douglas, as I do all the players that we have. Pop will learn from what happened on Sunday, but, you know, Pop has had a really good rookie, in my opinion, rookie experience so far, from OTAs to training camp to where we are now. Pop has done a lot of really good things. So, we like when Pop's in the game.
Danny, when you hear Bill O'Brien say that, does anything raise your antennas there as far as maybe a message to Bill Belichick?
Maybe you're thinking at the end where he says, I like when he's in the game.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. He says, I have a lot of confidence in Pop Douglas at the beginning. And then at the end, he says, we like when Pop Douglas is in the game. Do you think that's a message to Bill Belichick?
Maybe a subtle one.
See, I don't think so, but I think it should be. Okay, I don't think that it is. I don't think that Bill O'Brien is sending a message to Bill Belichick. I think Bill O'Brien is being the good cop to Bill Belichick's bad cop. That's what I think is happening, right? Like, you get in trouble with your parents, mom and dad are yelling at you, but so you run to aunt and uncle and they tell you everything's okay, and you go to grandma and they tell you everything's okay. I feel like Bill O'Brien is really just being the bad cop, like, hey, or the good cop. Hey, Bill Belichick played bad cop. He laid down the hammer, and now I am here to, now I am here to clean up the pieces. Now I'm here to put my arm around the guy. That's kind of where I feel like we're at. However, I think it should be a message to Bill Belichick, because here is what I wonder, and I don't know the answer to this, but here is what I wonder. I wonder if Bill O'Brien, as the offensive coordinator, should have more of a say over the personnel decisions in game. And if Bill O'Brien had the say over personnel decisions in game, would he have wanted Pop Douglas in the game? I would have to think that he would have. So when Bill O'Brien says, we like when Pop Douglas is in the game, I think that should be a message to Bill O'Brien or to Bill Belichick, like, hey, leave the in-game stuff to me. Okay, Bill Belichick has control of the roster. Bill Belichick has control of the roster Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday up until game time as far as who's on the field. But from Sunday, from 1 to 4 or 4 to 7 or 7 to or 8 to 11, let that be me. I'm the offensive coordinator. You hired me. Trust me. Empower me. Let me do my job. That's what I think Bill O'Brien. Again, I don't know that it's always like that where the offensive coordinator truly has full say over the offense. I don't know that it's like that everywhere. That's how I wish it was here. That's how I wish it was on Sunday. That's how I wish it is now. Bill O'Brien says, I have confidence in him. Bill O'Brien says, we like when he's on the field. I do think that's just him wrapping his arm around a young player and being good cop to Bill Belichick's bad cop. But I wish it was a shot at Bill Belichick, because I think Bill O'Brien should have some ownership over his offense. I think he should have some ownership over who plays in his offense and who's on the field in his offense. And hey, I'm the guy calling the plays. I'm the guy executing the game plan. I know which players and which chess pieces help me get that done. Because if I'm Bill O'Brien, I'm resentful that one hand was tied behind my back on Sunday night. And that is what happened. Bill Belichick took a weapon off the field, and now I'm out here supposed to be able to call the plays and execute the game plan and put guys in the right spots. And I don't have a guy that I know can help me do that. I don't have a guy that can help me do that. I think Bill O'Brien should be upset. Danny, if you look on our button bar right under the Tyler Milliken cut, there's also a cut from Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal, who he says that he thinks Mac Jones should be upset with Bill Belichick over the way the season as a whole has been handled.
I feel bad for Mac. I think Mac has played winning football in the first two games. I think he has played winning football now in dating back to last year. I think it's 5 straight games and 6 of 7. He just has nothing to work with. Everything has to be perfect. I mean, if you took the two quarterbacks and you graded them side by side, you would probably say Mac Jones and Tua had the same number of really nice throws. Mac might have even had more against all the pressure that he was facing. I mean, if they had DeAndre Hopkins and Jacoby Myers, the Patriots might be 2-0.
It's interesting. Couple of things. One, Greg Bedard uses the exact same phrase that I have when he says everything must be perfect. That's what I've said. I've said that for weeks. Okay, another round of Brady Farkas' I told you so when it comes to the Patriots. Mac Jones is a player, and the Patriots are a team where everything has to go right? They don't have the explosive playability to overcome deficits, which we've seen. They don't have the star power to overcome penalties, right? If they get down to 3rd and 14, I don't trust they can get out of it. If they get to 2nd and 18, I don't trust that they can get out of it. They have to play ahead of the chains. They have to play on schedule. They have to play from in front. They have to allow their defense to be able to pin their ears back and go rather than playing defensively. The Patriots need everything to be perfect. So that's what Greg Bedard says. That's what I've said. I'm glad we agree. My other question is he right? Is Greg Bedard right that Mac Jones should be upset with what he's been given, or that Mac Jones should feel bad about what he's been given? 802-585-3026. I agree with that. I said that a while ago. I haven't said that much recently. I agree with that, though. Mac Jones should be upset. I don't think he should so much be upset with the players that they have, because I think the Patriots have good football players, and I think Mac Jones recognizes what good football players look like. So I don't think he should be so upset with the players themselves. I think he should be upset with the draft, that he isn't given any weaponry in the draft, the easiest chance to restock things, that he's not getting a grade 1 talent in free agency. Overall, I don't think Mac Jones has a right to sit here and say, hey, Bill, every player you gave me stinks. But I do think he has a right to sit here and say, why are we drafting another defensive end in the 2nd round this year? Why are we drafting an offensive lineman, a guard in the 1st round last year when we could be getting a wide receiver? Why are you giving me last year's coaching situation? I think, why are you dogging me in the press? Why are you loving Zappy more than me? I think that Mac Jones has a real gripe with the Patriots. It has a real gripe with Bill Belichick. I don't know that it extends completely to every player stinking, but certainly Mac hasn't been put in a real advantageous situation. I think he absolutely has a right to be frustrated by that. It is a must-win game on Sunday against the Jets. You cannot lose this game. You absolutely cannot lose this game. And Danny, we found a cut earlier today from Devin McCourty, former Patriots player, who said you can't lose this game. We got Boomer Esiason yesterday saying the Pats can't lose this game. Give me the Boomer cut from yesterday.
How about I give you Devin first?
Okay.
You need to win this game. You're playing against a team that lost their starting quarterback. They did not look good against Dallas across the board, because I don't know if that team feels like they have a shot to do much more than they did last year without Aaron Rodgers in there. So you got to go in there starting the game off fast. They have to start fast this week, because you have to let this team know, and they're going to still play hard. I think Saleh does a great job of coaching that team. But you got to start to put that doubt in their mind of like, yeah, you can't beat us. It's been 14 straight games. Now it's going to go 15 straight games.
The Patriots need to come out and establish themselves early, and they need to take control of this game, and they need to take the life out of the Jets. They need to take the air out of the balloon. Devin McCourty's right about that. You cannot lose this game. This is a team without its starting quarterback. This is a team that's lost you 14 consecutive times. 14. That's 7 consecutive years that you haven't lost to the Jets. Okay, if you get up 10-0, 14-3, I do think they'll fold. I do think they'll wilt. I do think they'll turn on each other. You have the ability to do that. Can you actually do it, though? You cannot. If the Patriots lose this game, I promise you, I will be coming here on Monday talking about who can the Patriots trade ahead of the trade deadline. That's where we're headed. And you think I'm being facetious? You think I'm being hyperbolic? Is that the right word? Exhibiting hyperbole? Hyperbolic? You think I'm being over the top? That's absolutely the truth. If you go 0-3 in an NFL season, then we are talking about who are we trading at the trade deadline and how many draft picks can we get? That's where we're at. You lose to this team. The Jets now with Zach Wilson, I think, are a bottom 10 team in the NFL. If you lose to that team and you go 0-3, it is over. It's over for this team. It's over for the confidence of this team. And it's already looking forward to next year. It's crazy to think that way, but it's true. You cannot lose this game. If you lose this game, you will crush the confidence of Mac Jones. You will crush the confidence of the team. And you will, this season will be over. This season will be over. And if you can get the Jets in a bind, I think you can get some infighting there where they can cannibalize themselves. But you'd much rather be on the proper side of this one. That game is coming up on Sunday. We'll have it for you here on DEV. Wait, hold on. Let me check something here. Let me check my calculations on this. Patriots versus Red Sox. Okay, we're not going to have it for you on Sunday. My bad. We're going to have Red Sox baseball on Sunday. Pats will take on the Jets at 1. Red Sox are taking on the White Sox. That game is coming up in that 1 o'clock hour as well. That's coming up at 1:35. We'll have the Red Sox game. That's the way the rules work. That's the way we do it. We're partnered with the Red Sox for all 162. That's the way it is. We'll be back with the Patriots soon. But hey, I can watch the Patriots and listen to the Red Sox, or I can watch the Patriots and listen to the Red Sox here and be perfectly happy with it. Speaking of Red Sox, I am very, very excited about this next guest. We're going to go out to the phone line now and bring on Craig Breslow. Craig Breslow is a guy who is a Ivy League educated guy, right? Pitched and played and went to Yale. He won the World Series with the Red Sox in 2007. That's an interesting story I'm going to get to. He also was an integral part of the 2013 Red Sox team. He's now the assistant general manager and pitching guru for the Chicago Cubs, who are in a heated playoff race. And he's coming to Vermont in just a couple of weeks. We're going to ask him why. Craig Breslow is on the phone line with us now. Craig, thank you for being with us. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for that introduction.
Well, I appreciate you being with us. You're coming with your Strike 3 Foundation for a day of wiffle ball at one of my favorite places, Little Fenway, over there on the Essex-Jericho line. The Strike 3 Foundation is helping to find resources and support and funding for childhood cancer research.
That's exactly right. So a little bit of background there. Started the organization about 15 years ago when I was in kind of the early stages of my playing career, but had been impacted by pediatric cancer in my own family. My sister was diagnosed as a 13-year-old with pediatric thyroid cancer. She has survived and lives a completely unrestricted, unprohibited life. At this point, has a family of her own, but obviously the impact of that on my childhood was pretty significant, and I had long thought that my future would be in the medical field, and had in fact applied to medical school. But it turns out that my baseball career kind of gained some footing and lasted quite a bit longer than I had anticipated. So the work that I do and the work that we do with the Strike 3 Foundation allows me to remain connected to the medical community. And the wiffle ball event has been going on for close to 10 years at this point. It's really a great day set against the backdrop of the beautiful fall mountains in Vermont. And we'll get a bunch of people out to have a great day to celebrate a really important cause. and to raise some meaningful dollars.
So the logistics, October 7th, that's the date of the competition. What time are we looking at? And are you looking for people to still join and play? Or are you more looking to get fans out there to buy things, to donate, and to help kind of generate the funding?
Sure. So October 7th, the first pitch is typically around 9 a.m., and the event will last all day. We try to ensure that everyone gets a chance to play at all three fields there, Little Fenway, Little Wrigley, and Little Field of Dreams, and usually ends with the championship game in kind of the late afternoon or early evening, at times under the lights, depending on how long the games last. But to answer your question, we're looking for both participants in the event. We still have an opportunity for anyone who wants to get together, a team of 9 or 10 people to come out and compete and or just have some fun. And also guests that are just interested in spending the day with us. There will be food and face painting and a really family-friendly event. So either works for us, and we just want to create some excitement, some buzz around the event, and continue to build relationships and grow this thing over time.
We're talking with former Red Sox reliever and multi-time World Series champion Craig Breslow with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. You had a long and fruitful career, more than a decade in the big leagues. It's been 6-7 years since you've been retired. Your former Little League teammate, Charlie Morton, is still going and may win a World Series this year with the Braves. Do you have the itch to get back on the mound to keep up with Charlie?
So I've got twin 8-year-old boys at home and a 4-year-old daughter just trying to play catch with the three of them. Leave me in, kind of ice buckets and sore. So I think my playing days are pretty firmly behind me, but I certainly admire those who have been able to have careers that have lasted as long as his has.
You're in the front office with the Cubs and you're the assistant general manager and you're kind of the pitching guru for the organization. The Cubs are in a very, very intense National League playoff race right now. When you look at the Reds and the Giants and the Marlins and the Diamondbacks, more stressful. Playoff races and scoreboard watching as a player or as an executive?
So actually as an executive, because as a player, you were very proximal to outcomes, right? So you could watch a game and you could understand that you would have, potentially direct influence over the outcome of the game. Here, the feedback is a little bit more distant. There are multiple layers in between. So fortunately, I do relish the opportunity to work with, alongside some great people. And, kind of constantly think about ways that we can position our team to be as successful as possible. But there is a point when, once the first pitch is thrown, where we kind of have to sit back and watch what happens on the field. And as someone who, like I said, had a direct impact on the outcomes, that can be really difficult at times. Go ahead.
I was going to say, take me through a little bit of what your job with the Cubs entails. I talk about assistant GM and I think pitching guru. You seem to be doing a pretty good job. Justin Steele, who's going to pitch today, is a Cy Young candidate in the National League. Stroman has had an excellent year, especially pre-injury. You seem to be doing pretty well in this role, Craig.
Well, I appreciate that, and all of the credit has to start with the players who are kind of putting in the work and demonstrating the interest and the curiosity and the commitment to getting better. And also, like I said, we have some really great people here that I enjoy coming to work alongside every day. But I think my day to day is largely consumed by some combination of understanding and building out pitching plans and pitching infrastructure and making sure that our coaches and players have all the resources that they need, and then some broader just kind of general baseball operations type work. And that has allowed me to interact with our different performance domains, our strength and conditioning and medical departments, and gain a much more significant appreciation for the interactions across all of those spaces.
When you played for the Red Sox, I'm thinking about, the John Lesters of the world, the John Lackeys of the world. It was a different world even a decade ago in pitching. How has pitching changed from your vantage point as now you're working in this side of things?
Sure. Well, I can remember, when my early Red Sox days, showing up at Major League Spring Training for the first time and watching, Josh Beckett and Kurt Schilling and John Lester throw bullpens. And, these guys were 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds. And I wasn't. And I was very quickly struck with the reality that, if this is what it takes to be a Major League pitcher, I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. I think the methods have changed. Obviously, new technology streams have allowed us to pivot much more quickly to quantify things that we hadn't been able to. But at the end of the day, the name of the game is still getting hitters out. and preventing runs from scoring. And there's really just a finite number of ways that you can do that. You can miss bats, you can limit walks, you can, navigate, managing weak contact. And I think we've got a better objective sense for what pitch types and what locations tend to do those things. And so we can, kind of be agile in terms of adopting plans that allow each individual pitcher to utilize those strengths.
Craig Breslow with us here, Red Sox world champion pitcher 2013 with us here on the Brady Farkas show on DEV. I got two questions about the Red Sox I want to get you out on here, but I want to ask you this, and I want to ask it delicately because I know the position that you're in. But the Red Sox just got rid of Chaim Bloom as their chief baseball officer. There's been a lot of talk about Alex Cora maybe assimilating into that role. I won't ask you to comment on the state of the Red Sox because you likely can't, but I am curious, what was it like for you to go from playing to the front office? Was there a lot to learn? Was it an easier transition? Just talk to me about that transition for you.
Sure. So there was a ton to learn. And I didn't realize quite how much I had to learn until maybe 2 or 3 years into the job. I'm not sure if that was, ignorance on my part or what. But, as I had the chance to work in the front office here in Chicago with Theo and now Jed and Carter and others, I realized, just the wealth of experience that was around me and how much I could take from them. I would say the most difficult change for me, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, was the lack of immediate feedback. As a pitcher, there were 40,000 people on site and, millions a little bit more remotely that would let me know if I threw a good pitch or not. And here we're putting together plans and trying to execute a vision that, may take 2 or 3 years to understand if it's really working. So I think that's been the biggest challenge. But in terms of feeling like you're part of a team and feeling like you're, kind of one person among many that are trying to do something bigger than any individual accomplishment, that absolutely kind of carries and preserves the team mentality. But I think it was just that, kind of patience and the longer runway required to understand if things were working. That was a challenge for me initially.
10-year anniversary this year of the Boston Marathon bombing and the subsequent World Series championship by the 13 Red Sox. You were a huge part of that team, of that playoff run. When someone first mentions the 2013 Red Sox, what comes to your mind?
I think obviously the tragic events surrounding the marathon bombing, and then also the way that the team, I think became an outlet for the city and the way the city rallied behind the team. It was a relationship that I'm not sure we'll see again. The involvement of the players in kind of the healing process, and again the way that the city and really the region came out to support the team. I think it's really those two elements that will stick with, I'd imagine, everyone.
You got a World Series ring in 2007. You came up, as I recall, you had a cup of coffee but did not make an appearance for the 07 Red Sox, but you got a World Series ring anyways. How do you view your 07 World Series ring?
A cup of coffee would be a generous characterization. Maybe a drip, maybe a spill. But no, so I came up in 2007 on September 1st, or I guess it would have been the last day in August, and I can remember Mike Hazen at the time, kind of calling me into the office in AAA and saying that there was a young starter that was going to be starting the game the next day, and the bullpen was a little bit beat up from playing some extra inning games, and they were going to bring me up to, kind of provide some depth, some length in the bullpen. And, in my head, I was thinking, like, it's September 1st. You don't have to give me this story, right? Rosters expand to 40. You have a ton of flexibility here. But nonetheless, I guess I appreciated the context. So I went up, and on September 1st, it was Clay Buchholz's second career big league start, and he threw a no-hitter. So not only was I not needed, but nobody else in the bullpen was needed either. And then after the game, they actually sent me back down. So I don't know this for sure, but I believe I may be the only pitcher ever to get a September call down, which is not the way that's supposed to work. But for my efforts, which included watching a game from the bullpen, the Red Sox were generous and thankful enough to give me a World Series ring. So while I cherish the ring itself, I'm much more gratified by having had the opportunity to actually pitch in 2013. So that one will always hold a more special place in my heart.
Craig, you're a Ivy educated guy, went to Yale, much smarter than me. I'm sure your mornings are spent differently than mine, but my mornings are spent, filling out the immaculate grid. And you, I believe, 7 different organizations for you. You're not up there in Rich Hill, Edwin Jackson, Octavio Dotel category yet, but 7 teams is pretty good when it comes to immaculate gridding.
Yeah, thank you. And every time I am kind of eligible to fill in one of those boxes, someone somewhere will kind of text me that they use me. I'm waiting to, kind of for the grid that has the opportunity to use a player for the same team on both, kind of on both axes, because I spend time with the Twins twice, the Red Sox twice, the Indians/Guardians twice. So I'd like to be able to use that unique history.
That certainly would be awesome. Craig Breslow, former Red Sox reliever, now currently with the Cubs. They're in a playoff race. We're rooting for them as well in the National League. The Strike 3 Foundation is holding the wiffle ball competition October 7th. Little Fenway, Little Wrigley, Little Field of Dreams in Essex. It's awesome. I've been to Craig's tournament. I've been to the Travis Roy tournament. There is nothing like being at Little Fenway when there's wiffle ball going on and wiffle ball for a good cause. And this is here to heighten awareness, mobilize support, and raise funding for childhood cancer research. You can learn more online at strike3foundation.org. Craig, we look forward to seeing you in Vermont in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime Craig Breslow wants to come on the show, we will have Craig Breslow on the show. Danny, take notes. That's what a guy who went to the Ivy League sounds like. Wow, was Craig Breslow impressive. I have spoken to him before, but it had been several years ago. It's been probably 6 years since I spoke to Craig Breslow. I had forgotten just how money he is as a guest. I mean, that right there, that's a top 5-er for me on this show. I think we get the player perspective, we get the story perspective, we get the stuff that he's doing now in Major League Baseball with the Cubs and a team again that's fighting for a playoff spot right now. And oh, by the way, he's doing great work for charity and his Strike 3 Foundation, again working to benefit childhood cancer awareness and research. That's coming up October 7th. Strike3foundation.org. If you can play, go to it. October 7th, if you want to help support the cause, you can buy things and concessions and raffles, whatever is there. Donate money. Danny, have you ever been to Little Fenway before?
I live right by it, and I've not, which is sad.
You have lived in Essex for most of your life, and you have never been.
It's sad, isn't it?
That is your homework assignment. You need to go to Little Fenway. Okay. You need to go to Little Fenway. It is seriously, it is one of the coolest places I've ever been in my life. And I will talk to anyone who will listen about what it's like, man. It is, when I first moved to Vermont back in 2016. So we just passed the 7-year anniversary of my first days in Vermont. And my first day on the job was the Wednesday after Labor Day, whatever that was, September 5th or something like that, I think, that year. The sales rep at a station I was at previously, the first thing they did was they took me to Little Fenway. And they were like, look, you've got to see this. You're a baseball fan. You're a sports guy. You've got to see this. And actually, the Craig Breslow tournament, I think, was coming up like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I guess it would have been like a month after I got it. Like, hey, this thing's here. We're going to be partnered here. You're going to come here. I got to show you this place. I was hooked from the moment that I ever stepped foot there. And I've been to the Travis Roy tournament probably 3 times or so, 3 or 4. We've broadcasted there before. I've played in the tournament before, played in it twice, had a blast doing that, gone and hung out at it. I've been to the Strike 3 Foundation. Sam Fold is the assistant GM of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's a former outfielder, speedster for the Tampa Bay Rays, among other teams. He's got a diabetes tournament or a diabetes foundation that he benefits. They've done things there before. I've spoken to him before. It's just one of my favorite places to go. If you are a fan of giving back, if you are a fan of sports, you're a fan of nostalgia, and you're a fan of cool, you have to go see Little Fenway. I mean, there's Little Fenway at the top. And then in the bottom of the complex, there's Little Wrigley and there's Little Field of Dreams. Hey, Danny, I'm telling you, if you've never been there, the replica of this. This is as money as it gets. I mean, there is absolutely no skimping on details here. This isn't, look, like what I used to do in my backyard was like, okay, we had plastic bases and I threw some dirt on the middle of the yard, and that we made the pitcher's mound, and we brought out a boombox one year and did the player lineups and the national anthem. Like we had fun with it, and we would hit balls over the neighbor's yard, and the neighbor would play, and we'd be chasing balls into the pool. We jump in and get it. Like, it was cool. This is not that. This is a real life baseball field in somebody's big backyard. I mean, you walk out to Little Fenway and you look at it, and there's the Green Monster, right? And there's the Sit-Go sign over the Green Monster. And there's the netting above the Green Monster before they had the seats put in. So before there were seats on the Monster, Danny, there was just a net. So there's that net. There's the Sit-Go sign, the foul pole. Then you go into center field, and there's the bullpens, right? There's 2 actual bullpens in there for wiffle ball. There's retired numbers. All the Red Sox retired numbers are there. They're painted just like they are at Fenway. It is a exact replica. Then you go down, walk down a little bit. There's little Wrigley Field, and they've got the identical scoreboard that there is at Wrigley Field. We've got the actual corn fields at Little Field of Dreams. I mean, honestly, it's magical. Like, I don't want to sound corny. It truly is magical to be there. It's magical just to see. Like, I don't know what it's like to step on. I've stepped on foot at Fenway before. I've been on, field level at Fenway. I don't know what it's like to be on the field at Fenway. I don't know what it's like to be on the field at Wrigley. I don't know what it's like to be out of the movie of Field of Dreams. This puts you in that moment. So it's magical to be there and just like imagine yourself, hey, I'm playing shortstop at Fenway. I hit a homer in one of the tournaments over the Green Monster. And I'm like, this is what it's like to be Nomar, to be Jim Rice, to be Big Papi, to be Manny, to be somebody who can hit a home run over the Green Monster. Like, I got to experience that. Again, it sounds corny, but it's true. It is magical. And then when you go to these things that have a charitable component, and you realize the work that's being done behind the scenes, that's also magical. I will never forget. I forget what year, probably 2019, or COVID was 2020 yet. So probably 2019. I will never forget tearing up as Travis Roy took the microphone talking about the work they were doing for spinal cord research and spinal cord injuries. Right? Like, I'm not too proud to admit it. I had sunglasses on. Jess was with me. She was there too. I was tearing up. It was that powerful. And when you're in the presence of that kind of stuff, you can't help but feel some kind of ridiculously powerful emotional connection. Danny, your homework assignment is you have to go to Little Fenway. Now, there's not a tournament going on. This is the Travis Roy Foundation, as I understand it, owns the house now. It's off the beaten path road. You cannot, I believe, just get out and walk around now, but you can drive up to the massive space and look at Little Fenway. You couldn't see the other two from the road, but you could look at Little Fenway. You need to do that. Like, do you think you could do that by tomorrow with a time show? Because I would love for you to have seen this by 24 hours from now.
Ooh, that's a short time crunch, but I could probably do that.
Well, what else do you have to do?
Get here early? I don't know.
How early? What time are they making you get here? What time do you get into work? You get into work after me. Or
to be determined tomorrow.
To be determined. Are you going to be producing Vermont Viewpoint tomorrow?
Don't know yet. I'll find out, though.
Work starts for the day is tomorrow. We're like 15 hours away. You still don't know when you're working yet?
A lot of moving pieces, Brady.
Okay, this is why I'm happy to just be this is why I'm happy now that that's why I'm happy I'm not the producer. Producers have a lot of things to produce. Me, I get to host just one or two shows, right? They call me up, hey, Brady, can you do the midday news? Yes. Brady, can you do the afternoon news? Yes. Brady, do the show? Yes. The one time they threw me for a loop, though, like, hey, can you do Vermont Viewpoint? That one threw my schedule. And then the one time Lee was like, hey, I'm out sick. Can you fill in on the morning show tomorrow? I was watching Thursday Night Football. It was the Browns and Broncos. I'm never going to forget this. I was watching Thursday Night Football, Browns-Broncos, and Lee calls me. He's like, hey, I'm not feeling good. We're really in a spot. Can you do the news tomorrow morning? I'm like, sure. And he's like, by the way, you also have to do the afternoon news. So I'm like, okay. So I go to bed at like 10:30 at night to wake up at 2:30 in the morning to get there for the news. Then I'm sleeping on the couch at the station in between shifts and then get to the afternoon news. So that was I can understand. Things move fast in radio. Text says, put your money where your mouth is, Farkas. Take him for breakfast early and take him to Little Fenway.
Yeah, Brady.
I don't need to be Danny's personal chauffeur or his personal tour guide. Okay. Danny lives like right next to Little Fenway. I don't live right next to Little Fenway. Danny, I mean, seriously, you couldn't be more than 6 minutes from Little Fenway.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay. I won't. I'm not
Sold.
going to give up. I'm not going to give up your spot. I don't even know exactly where you live.
But
you live
do.
in Essex. You go over to, you just cross right over Jericho and go past the Jericho Tavern and past that little food truck which name now escapes me. What is that food truck called? Mike's?
Food truck in Jericho?
That's not a food truck. It's on
Al's
the side of the road.
No, not Al's. I'm sorry.
No, that's in South Burlington. But it's on the side of the road. They sell ice cream there. It's a food truck.
Joe's.
Joe's. That's it. So you go past Joe's. You go past that. You turn left on Silly Hill Road. That's Little Fenway. You got to go there. Text says, your procedure needs it. Get over himself.
Typo.
I'm going to assume he means your producer needs to get over himself. I didn't know Danny was under himself. Don't talk bad about Danny. I'm the only one who can talk bad about Danny. Okay,
I can read these texts too.
Okay, yeah, them's the rules. I'm the only one who can talk bad about Danny. So, Danny's the man. You don't give Danny grief. Only I give Danny grief. Yes, he needs to see Little Fenway. Steve says Little Fenway is incredible. You're absolutely right. It is incredible. It is powerful. The tournament for Craig Breslow is October 7th. You all should be there. We all should be there. Danny should be there. And Danny needs to have seen it and report back, I think, by the end of the week. I'll give Danny until Friday to hopefully. There will be a quiz, and you have to have driven to it. So if not, Danny's going to owe me $10 or something. Hey, speaking of $10, Danny, do you remember this? I was going to forget this. I made a bet with Tommy Gardner last week of the Stowe Reporter. Tommy Gardner, the big Lions fan. I made a bet with him on the Seahawks-Lions game, thinking that the Lions were going to win, and I won. So lunch is on Tommy Gardner this week, I think. He's going to owe me $10. I'm definitely going to have to remind him about that on the afternoon news service tomorrow.
Pay up, Tommy G.
I have stolen all of Tommy Gardner's money, basically. This is why they tell you not to gamble, right? Gamble responsibly. Everybody be safe out there. But this is why they tell you not to gamble. Last year, Patriots-Lions, we bet on that. Patriots won 29-0 or something like that. That was like taking candy from a baby. I gave Tommy a chance to get his money back this year. Mariners-Tigers series in Detroit. I said best 2 out of 3 in that series. Mariners won it. I said, Tommy, I can't take your money. I felt bad. Now I'm going to take his money again on this one. I'm 3-0 against Tommy Gardner. So there you go. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Texter says, I played in that tournament. I think you mean the Travis Roy tournament. That's awesome. Good for you. It was great. Text says, WTF was that text? I'm a horrible texter. I think he's making fun of the other texter who called you the procedure and not the producer. Hey, voice to text, autocorrect. I give people leeway for typos. I am an awful texter, Danny. I don't know if you're good or not, but I have mistyped enough things in my life that now my phone just automatically goes to auto corrections that are mistakes, and I don't even fix them anymore. Okay, I's and O's to me come out as K's. So if I want to say like, I'll be home soon, or I will be home soon, it comes out as K will be home soon. If I want to say, I'll be home at 7, I've got 90 minutes of a show, it will come out as KF a show. I don't even care anymore. Okay. So I let people slide when it comes to texting mistakes, because I have a lot of them as well. You know what? I don't think we've taken a commercial break in like 45 minutes. We need to do that. We'll be right back with the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
Free! Coffee! Fridays, 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 Fridays. Not an Echo. An amazing offer. Hey, All Town Neighborhood Perks members. Celebrate National Coffee Day all month long with a free, delicious All Town fresh coffee every Friday in September at Jiffy Mart and T-Bird stores. Not a member? Join now at alltownneighborhoodperks.com. Okay, that's an Echo.
Only at participating locations while supplies last.
Don't have time to stop by a bank branch? At Union Bank, it takes less than 5 minutes to open an account online. Union Bank makes opening an account online easy, and they offer several personal checking and savings account options to choose from. Visit uvlocal.com. Union Bank, a Vermont institution for over 130 years, rated best small bank in Vermont by Newsweek, and the top performing publicly traded community bank in New England by the American Bankers Association. Union Bank. Stay local. Go far. Member FDIC.
Are you ready to Moxie? Join us for Copley Hospital's annual Gravel Moxie Ride on October 14th. Riders can choose from a 50-mile ride that challenges them with curves, slopes, and hills, while greeting them with views of Mount Mansfield and beyond. Our 30-mile scenic route brings riders to the edge of Vermont's beauty spots, Lake Almore, and on to some of the best scenery that Almore and Morrisville have to offer. Or maybe it's our 10-mile family fun ride that takes riders on trails with gentle sloping. Join us on Saturday, October 14th, as we take on some of the best gravel our Green Mountain State has to offer, while taking in some of the most beautiful countryside in support of our community hospital. Celebrate fall with a 50, 30, or 10-mile family fun ride in support of Copley. Register now at bikereg.com or visit copleyvt.org. Get your Moxie on and ride for Copley on October 14th.
Find a rewarding career at the Gary Residence, a new state-of-the-art residential care home purposefully designed for the nurture and care of those living with memory loss.
It's a really great environment to work in. And it doesn't matter what position you have here. We're all one big happy family.
I'm really fortunate to work here and have all of these people in my life.
The Gary Residence is currently looking for experienced LPNs, med techs, and resident service assistants to join the memory care team. Learn more and apply at thegaryresidence.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structure, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
There are many reasons why the Country Club of Barrie is one of Golf Magazine's top 5 courses in Vermont. Here are a few. The Country Club of Barrie is a scenic course of rolling hills, providing a challenging and rewarding experience for all levels of golfers. No need to travel to purchase your golf needs. The Country Club of Barrie has a fully stocked pro shop with golf equipment from major brands like Titleist, Ping, and TaylorMade. The Country Club of Barrie offers lessons and junior clinics, indoor and outdoor dining for you to enjoy food and beverages before and after your round of golf. The Country Club of Barrie prides itself on the maintenance of their immaculate greens and newly installed tee boxes. As a member-owned club and pro shop, the Country Club of Barrie profits go right back into the club. See for yourself why Central Vermont golfers list the Country Club of Barrie as a must-play course. For more information and to book your tee time online, go to ccofbarrie.com or call the pro shop 802-476-7658.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Danny, I'm sending you a text from the other studio here. Because I just want you to be amazed by this. So we're joking around with Craig Breslow about the immaculate grid. Remember, this is the thing where you try to guess, certain players that fit certain boxes or whatever. We talked about it before. I'm not going to go to the bother of explaining it all again. But Danny, the Mariners were on the Immaculate Grid today. Please look at my scores that I just sent you for the 3 players there that fill those boxes. I'll wait for you to be impressed before I move on to something else.
My God, Brady.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So I had to name a Mariner and a Pirate, and I came up with a guy who was 0.3% of guesses. I had to name a Mariner and a White Sox. I came up with a guy who was 0.1%, and a Mariner and an Angel who were 0.2%. Less than 1% guess rate for all 3 players. That's pretty darn good. Danny, could you beat that if it came to a Celtic? Like
Maybe.
It was Celtics?
Maybe. Depends on the 2 teams we're talking about.
Gershon Yabusele?
Yeah, somebody like that.
Who was? Oh, man. There was Yabusele, and there was the other guy they had from Europe. They kept trying to make work for a bunch of years. They finally got rid of him like 2 years ago. Who was that guy? I want to say his number 30. Now I have to
more
look
details
up
there.
Yeah,
Brandon Bass was number 30. That's a while ago.
Brandon Bass, former LSU great. What was this guy's? Oh, Semi Ojeleye.
Oh, yeah.
Was he number 30?
I believe. No, I don't think so.
Semi Ojeleye was up there. He was 37.
Right.
37. Semi Ojeleye apparently played at Duke for a little while, and I did not know that.
And then SMU.
Yes, and then SMU. All right, this show's gone to complete hell anyways because we've been talking about going to see Little Fenway and because Red Sox got beat 15-5. There is no Red Sox game tonight. 15-5 loss against the Rangers. We had that here on DEV. Danny, I've finally undertaken. This is the most handy I've ever been in a week of my life. The most handy. I always talk about not being handy. I always talk about, being a flatlander, not knowing how to do anything. This has been the most handy I've ever been in my life. So Jess and I got a new apartment. Like, I'm not going to give more too many details on where it is, etc. But Jess and I got a new apartment, and at this new apartment, they didn't give us blinds or a shade. I almost think they forgot them. But rather than go to management and complain and get up on the wrong foot, we put up curtains. Like, we put up our own stuff. And that's fine, right? It's going to look better than blinds anyway. So it's not really that big a deal. But me being as little handy as I am, I was terrified of the process of putting up curtains, blinds, drapes, shades, whatever it was, right? I'm looking with her. I'm like, what can we find that involves the most little amount of handiwork possible? The easiest thing, something foolproof. I'm like, is there something where we can nail something in? Can I screw something into the wall? She's like, no, you're going to have to use the drill. And I'm like, whoa. I am not drilling. I'm like, we just got this apartment. We've got the security deposit. We're going to lose our security deposit if I start drilling holes in walls. I'm like, there is not a chance in hell that I'm going to do this. She's like, these things have to be drilled in. So I'm like, okay, whatever you say, babe. So I drilled holes in like 6 different windows areas, and 100% rate. So now I've drilled holes and hung curtain rods. So that was one win for me. And then 2, I have had, as I mentioned this months ago, I have had an entertainment center, a TV stand, whatever you want to call it. It's more long than it is tall, but it's got 3 cubby holes, basically. I've had this thing for like 15 years at my parents' house, and it had been given to me by a guy who was cleaning his house, right? Like, I coached his kid in baseball. His kid was on my team. He's like, look, I'm cleaning some stuff up. I'm upgrading my furniture. Do you want this? It's good. I've had it for a while. It could be good for you as you start your life. It lived in my parents' basement for a while. As we were moving into our new place, we were like, well, look, we have more rooms than we've had before. This is a slightly bigger apartment than what we had when we were over in Essex. And I'm like, look, we don't need to buy a TV stand. I've got this thing at my parents' house. So we went recently and got it. And I'm like, well, this thing is beat to hell. It's probably 30 years old at this point. It's beat to hell. And I consulted with my aunt, who's extremely crafty, with my mom, who's fairly crafty, got the tips, got an electric sander, and here I am for the last couple of days. I've been sanding this thing, buffing it out. I took all the paint off. Now I've gone through, I've used actual sandpaper, I've used the electric sander, and now I have painted and restored this 30-year-old thing. So, Danny, this is about as handy as I get. Drilling holes for curtain rods and painting antique tables. This is as good as it gets for me. I will never be able to be someone who's going to fix a car. I will not be able to tell you that your pistons are messed up or your lubrication is bad or that I might not even be able to change the windshield wiper. So don't ask me anything with cars. But now I've got mild carpentry skills, mild painting skills, and mild ability to hang curtains and drapes. Nevertheless, all the work I did at my parents' house over weekends this summer, where I was mowing lawns, landscaping, weeding, trimming things, because I'm 6'5", my dad's 5'10", my mom's 5'6", and they're in their 60s. So I don't expect them to get on ladders and start hedge trimming giant trees. So that was me this summer over the times when I would go back and visit. So landscaper, carpenter, painter, drapes hanger. These are all skills that I've acquired here in the last week. And yes, I should have known how to do it before. And a lot of you could probably build entire houses. I get it. But for me, it's a giant win. It's a giant win. Text says, happy for you that you finished it. Good job. I'm pumped. Today is going to be the first day that I feel comfortable putting anything on it in terms of paint being dry. Look, and I tried to be perfect, and I probably have realized you can't be perfect, but I'm trying to make sure no globs of paint here, trying to make sure, there's no streaks there, trying to make sure my brush strokes are right, trying to make sure I've covered up all the little spots. It's hard to be perfect, but I feel pretty good about it. Thank you very much, Kevin. Texter says, good Lord, Brady, what is going on with your show? Stay away from antiques. The Red Sox lost 15-5. I'm in a bad mood. Deal with it. Go find the podcast. See you tomorrow. Oh, wait. I lost you by 5 seconds. Double. Deal with it. Go find the podcast. Thanks to Craig Breslow. He was awesome. Bye, Danny. See you tomorrow.
Are designed for unprecedented performance and exceptional aesthetics. Marvin's expansive window portfolio has every style you can imagine, all of them crafted with the highest quality material and the ability to mix and match across product lines that allows you to achieve the right form and function for your residential, commercial, and replacement needs. See our Marvin specialist at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enos